The old alien moved slowly across the smooth floor of the big meeting room. His body looked like living crystal, blue and clear but very old. Cracks ran through his skin like broken glass. When he walked, small pieces of light danced around him. His name was Catamaran, and he was older than most stars. The Galactic Council room was huge. It could hold thousands of beings from different worlds. Today it was full. Representatives from 12 major alien races sat in their special seats. Each seat was made for different body types. Some aliens needed water tanks. Others needed very hot or very cold air. The room buzzed with many different languages and sounds. Captain Jiwan sat in the observer section. She was human, and she was not supposed to speak today. She could only watch and listen. Her black hair was tied back in a neat style. Her uniform was simple blue and white. On her sleeve was a patch that said UES New Soul. She had been traveling in space for 3 months learning about alien cultures. Catamaran reached the center of the room. All the talking stopped. Even the big aliens who made loud breathing sounds became quiet, the old crystal being raised one thin arm. "I bring an important message," he said. His voice came through small machines that changed his words into every language in the room. "The humans are coming to our space. You must not fight them. You must not try to stop them. Send them away with kind words, but do not make them angry." Admiral Tejo of the Regelian fleet made a loud noise. It sounded like metal being crushed. This was how his people laughed. "Old one, you have been sleeping for too long. These humans are babies in space. They only started flying between stars 300 years ago. We have been doing this for 50,000 years. Tejo was huge, even sitting down. His skin was dark red metal. 4 arms stuck out from his body. Each arm was as thick as a tree trunk. His people were famous for building the biggest warships in the galaxy. Council leader Thexara stood up. She was tall and thin, with 6 arms that moved like snakes. Her people ruled the biggest empire in known space. "Elder Catamaran, we respect your age and wisdom. But look at the facts. The humans have maybe 100 ships total. We have thousands. Their weapons are simple. Their shields are weak. They have never fought a real space war." Captain Jiwan kept her face calm, but her hand moved to her communication device. She started recording everything. Catamaran's crystal body became dimmer. "You do not understand. You think being strong means having big ships and powerful weapons. The humans are not strong because of their machines. They are strong because of what they are inside." "What does that mean?" asked Counselor Veltar of the Centauri Union. His people looked like large purple plants with many eyes. "Strength is strength. If their ships are weaker, they will lose. This is simple math." The old being moved closer to the center speaking area. "My people have the oldest records in this galaxy. We have seen many wars. We have watched thousands of species fight and die. The humans are different. When you push them, they do not break. When you hurt them, they become more dangerous. When you corner them, they turn into something that cannot be stopped." Commander Crix of the Hegemony Defense Force stood up. He was covered in thick armor that looked like black stone. "Elder, with respect, you speak in riddles. Every species fights when cornered. This is basic survival. Why should humans be special?" Catamaran was quiet for a long moment. The room waited. Finally, he spoke again. "Because they do not fight just for themselves. They fight for ideas. They die for strangers. They will destroy themselves completely, rather than live as slaves. This is not normal. This is not how rational beings act." Admiral Tejo laughed again. "So they are crazy? Even better. Crazy enemies make mistakes. They are easy to defeat, no," Catamaran said. His voice became very serious. "They are not crazy. They are something else. Something we cannot understand. In our old records, we call them the inevitable ones. Not because they always win, but because they never truly lose. You can kill every human in space, but the idea of what they are will spread. Other species will start to think like them. And then you will face something much worse than one human fleet." Thexara moved her 6 arms in a gesture that meant disagreement. "Elder, these are old stories. Old fears. We live in modern times. We have science. We have facts. The facts say that humans are weak." Captain Jiwan watched as more council members stood up to speak. Each one said the same thing in different ways. Humans were too new to space. Too weak, too few. Some aliens wanted to simply ignore the humans. Others wanted to teach them a lesson. A few suggested destroying human ships to show them who ruled this part of space. The debate went on for hours. Captain G1 listened to every word. She learned that the aliens had been watching human expansion for months. They knew about every human colony. They knew how many ships humans had. They even knew the names of human military leaders. But as she listened, G1 realized something important. The aliens understood human technology, but they did not understand humans themselves. They talked about humans like they were just another alien species. They did not know about human history. They did not know about the wars humans had fought on Earth. They did not know about the times humans had chosen death over surrender. When the debate finally ended, the council voted. The numbers appeared on a big screen. 847 votes to use military force against humans if they did not stop expanding. Only 23 votes against. The decision was clear. Thexara announced the result. The Galactic Council will send a military fleet to human space. We will give them one chance to leave peacefully. If they refuse, we will force them to leave. This vote is final. Kethamoran looked around the room one last time. His crystal body was very dim now, like a light with a dying battery. When the humans show you what they really are, remember this day. Remember that I tried to warn you. Your children will curse your names for what you have chosen to do. The old being turned and walked slowly toward the exit. His crystal feet made soft clicking sounds on the floor. As he passed Captain G1, he stopped. He looked at her with eyes that seemed to hold the light of ancient stars. Young human, he said quietly, tell your people that not all of us wanted this war. Some of us remember the old warnings. Some of us know better. G1 nodded slightly. I will tell them, Elder. Kethamoran continued walking. Soon he was gone, leaving only the sound of alien voices discussing military plans. Captain G1 sat quietly and continued recording. She had much to report to Earth Command. The die was cast. The galaxy's greatest powers had chosen war with humanity. They would soon learn that some species cannot be conquered, not because they are strong, but because they simply refuse to be conquered. Commander Minho stood on the bridge of the UES Busan's Pride and watched the alien fleet appear on his screens. 300 ships of different shapes and sizes dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Kepler 442b system. Some ships were as big as cities. Others looked like giant metal insects. All of them had weapons pointed at his small human fleet. Minho counted his own ships again, 47 vessels total. Most were exploration ships with light weapons. A few were military escorts. Against 300 alien warships, the math was simple and ugly. Commander, said Lieutenant Soman from her position at the communications station. We're getting a message from the alien fleet. They're broadcasting on all frequencies. Put it through, Minho said. The main screen changed to show an alien being. It had 4 arms and skin that looked like polished metal. Its eyes were large and yellow. When it spoke, the translation system turned its words into Korean. This is Supreme Commander Vexithol of the Galactic Hegemony. Human vessels, you are in violation of galactic law. This system is claimed by the Regelian Empire. You will withdraw immediately and return to your home system. You have 1 solar hour to comply. Minho looked around his bridge. His crew was young, mostly in their 20s and 30s. They had signed up to explore new worlds, not to fight wars, but their faces showed no fear. Lieutenant Da-Hyun at the weapons station was checking her targeting systems. Engineer Kangman was routing more power to the shields. They were ready to fight. Sir, said Navigator Wanho, if we leave now, we can reach the slipspace jump point in 40 minutes. Minho nodded, but he was thinking about the colony below. New Andong had 50,000 people, families, children, scientists like Dr. Yunji who were learning how to grow Earth food in alien soil. They had been working for 2 years to build a new life on this world. Open a channel to Earth Command, Minho said. The subspace communicator connected him to Admiral Haisu back on Earth. Her weathered face appeared on the screen. She had been fighting wars longer than Minho had been alive. Admiral, we have a situation, Minho said. He quickly explained about the alien fleet and their demands. Admiral Haisu was quiet for a moment. Minho, you have full authority to make whatever decision you think is best. Protect our people. Understood, Admiral. For humanity. For humanity, she replied, and the connection ended. Down on the planet's surface, Dr. Yunji was working in her laboratory. She was studying how Earth plants grew in the alien soil. Her research could help feed billions of people someday. She did not know that alien warships filled the space above her world. Her husband Kyung was in the communal gardens with their daughter Nari. The little girl was only 7 years old. She was playing among the tomato plants while her father checked the irrigation systems. The colony's children had never seen Earth. This alien world was their home. Back on the Busan's Pride, the hour was almost over. Minho opened a channel to the alien fleet. Supreme Commander Vex Thule, this is Commander Minho of the Terran fleet. We have considered your demand. He paused and looked at his crew one more time. Our answer is no. This is human space now. These are our people below. We will not abandon them. There was silence from the alien fleet for several seconds. Then Vex Thule's voice came back, sounding confused. Human Commander, you do not understand. We have 300 ships. You have less than 50. This is not a fight you can win. Maybe not, Minho said. But it's a fight we'll have anyway. The alien commander seemed to be talking to someone else for a moment. Then he spoke again. Very well. You have chosen your fate. The first alien weapons fired. Beams of energy and torpedo-like objects shot across space toward the human fleet. The destroyer UES Incheon took a direct hit and exploded in a ball of fire. 2 escort ships died in the next salvo. But then something happened that the aliens did not expect. Instead of running away, the human ships charged straight at the alien fleet. Captain Soman, who had been promoted when her commander died, aimed the frigate UES Incheon's Fury at the largest alien ship. She pushed her engines to maximum power and flew directly at the enemy dreadnought. Soman, what are you doing? Minho called over the radio. What needs to be done, sir? She replied. Tell my family I love them. The UES Incheon's Fury crashed into the alien dreadnought at full speed. Captain Soman detonated her ship's fusion reactor at the moment of impact. Both vessels vanished in a nuclear fireball. Commander Daleth of the Zephyrian Destroyer Wing watched this happen from his command ship. He had fought in many battles, but he had never seen anything like this. The human had thrown away her life and her ship to destroy one enemy vessel. It made no sense. Why did she do that? Daleth asked his tactical officer. She could have retreated. She could have surrendered. Why choose death? His officer had no answer. Neither did anyone else in the alien fleet. They did not understand that humans sometimes choose principles over survival. More human ships followed Soman's example. The corvette UES Mokpo rammed an alien cruiser. The transport ship UES Jeju, which was not even a warship, loaded its cargo bay with explosives and flew into a formation of alien fighters. Each time, the human crews chose certain death to inflict maximum damage on the enemy. Lieutenant Hyunwoo was piloting a damaged fighter when his engines failed. He could have ejected and hoped for rescue. Instead, he aimed his powerless ship at an alien command vessel and used his last thruster burst to crash into their bridge. The battle lasted 3 hours. When it ended, every human ship was destroyed, but 96 alien vessels were also gone, including 2 command ships and dozens of smaller craft. The aliens had won, but the victory felt like defeat. Supreme Commander Vex Thule stared at the debris field where the human fleet had died. His tactical computer showed the impossible numbers. 47 human ships had destroyed nearly 100 alien vessels, not through superior technology or clever tactics, but through sheer willingness to die fighting. Commander, said his intelligence officer, we intercepted some human communications during the battle. The humans knew they could not win. They knew they were all going to die. But none of them tried to escape. Vex Thule did not understand. In his culture, in every culture he knew, survival was the highest priority. You fought to live, not to die. But these humans had fought as if death was a victory in itself. On the planet below, Dr. Yunji felt the ground shake as debris from the space battle fell through the atmosphere. She looked up at the sky and saw burning streaks of light. She did not know yet that her protectors were dead. She did not know that alien soldiers would soon land on her world. But something else was happening that the aliens did not see. Every human ship had transmitted detailed battle records back to Earth before being destroyed. The news of the massacre was already spreading through human space at faster than light speed. Commander Vex Thule sent his report to the Galactic Council. Human resistance eliminated. Colony world secured. Recommend immediate withdrawal. These beings fight in ways that concern me. But on Earth, Admiral Haisu was reading the battle reports. She called an emergency meeting of Earth's military command. When they gathered, she had only one thing to say. They killed our people. They destroyed our ships. They think this is over. She looked around the room at her fellow officers. They're wrong. This is just the beginning. The alien fleet departed Kepler 442b, leaving behind an occupied world and a new understanding of human nature. They had learned that humans would die before they would surrender, but they had not yet learned what humans would do when they had time to prepare for war. That lesson was coming. The news reached Earth 48 hours after the battle. President Jamin sat in his office in Seoul, reading the final transmission from Commander Minho. The message was short. All ships lost. Colony overrun. They fight without honor. Remember us. General Mirai stood beside the president's desk, her face hard as stone. She had served in the Earth Defense Force for 30 years. She had fought in the Resource Wars and the Mars Independence conflict. But she had never felt anger like this. Sir, she said quietly, we need to call an emergency session of the Defense Council. Within 6 hours, every major military leader on Earth was gathered in the underground command center beneath Seoul. The room was simple and functional, with no decorations except flags from Earth's major nations. But today those flags represented something new. Not separate countries, but a single human species threatened by aliens who thought they could kill humans without consequences. Admiral Sung-hyun activated the holographic display in the center of the room. It showed the locations of every human settlement in space, 47 colonies on 31 worlds, over 200 million people living among the stars. The aliens made a mistake, Admiral Sung-hyun said. They think they fought our military. They think they won a war. But what they really did was attack civilians, families, scientists, children. He paused and looked around the room. They don't understand what they've done. Dr. Wonho from the Psychological Warfare Division had been studying the battle recordings. He was a small man with thick glasses, but his mind was sharp as a blade. I've analyzed the alien communications during the fight, he said. They were confused by our tactics. They kept asking each other why our ships didn't retreat. They don't understand the concept of fighting for something more important than your own life. President Jamin leaned forward. Explain. In their cultures, family comes first, then tribe, then species. They will fight to protect their children, but they won't die for strangers. The idea of sacrificing yourself for abstract concepts like freedom or honor is completely alien to them. Dr. Wonho adjusted his glasses. They literally cannot comprehend why Captain Soman rammed that dreadnought. To them it was just insanity. General Mirai smiled, but it was not a kind smile. Then they're going to have a very educational experience. Across the solar system, the response to the news was swift and unified. On Mars, engineer Kangman had been working on civilian ship designs. Now he was redesigning them for war. He had not slept in 2 days, surviving on coffee and anger. We can convert the mining ships, he told his team. Strip out the ore processors, install missile tubes. The hull armor is already thick enough to survive asteroid impacts. It'll work fine against alien weapons. Captain Da-hyun of the merchant vessel Jeju Wanderer was in the asteroid belt when she heard the news. She immediately changed course for Ceres Station. Her ship carried medical supplies and food to the outer colonies. Now it would carry something else. Control, this is Da-hyun aboard the Jeju Wanderer. I'm volunteering my ship for military conversion. Whatever Earth Command needs. The response came quickly. Da-hyun, report to Fleet Yard 7. Admiral Sung-hyun wants to see you personally. But the real surprise came when Admiral Sung-hyun revealed humanity's secret. In a hidden facility on the dark side of Luna, he led President Jamin through corridors that officially did not exist. We've been building this since the first human ship left the solar system, Admiral Sung-hyun explained. Not exploration vessels, not research ships, warships. Real warships designed by a species that spent 10,000 years learning how to kill each other efficiently. The hangar bay was enormous. Row after row of ships filled the space, each one larger and more heavily armed than anything the aliens had seen. These were not the sleek exploration vessels that Captain Ji-won had flown. These were predators made of metal and fire. How many? President Jamin asked. 2,000 ships in this facility alone. Another 1,500 scattered in hidden bases throughout the system. And that's just the beginning. Admiral Sung-hyun activated a holographic display. We have production facilities in 12 star systems. Most of them are disguised as mining operations or research stations. President Jamin stared at the numbers. You built a secret fleet. We built an insurance policy, Admiral Sung-hyun corrected. Humans have always planned for the worst-case scenario. The aliens just created one. Meanwhile, Dr. Yuna in the xenobiology lab was making discoveries that would change everything. She had been studying captured alien technology for months, but now she was looking at it with new eyes. Their weapons are wrong, she told her assistant, Dr. Seokjin. Look at these energy patterns. These aren't designed to kill quickly. They're designed to cause pain and disable enemies. They're weapons made for forcing surrender, not for winning wars. Dr. Seokjin examined the data. Why would they do that? Because they've never faced a species that prefers death to submission, Dr. Yuna said. Their entire military doctrine is based on intimidation and overwhelming force to make enemies give up. They don't know how to fight against people who won't quit. The first alien diplomatic contact came 72 hours after the battle. Ambassador Kethanol of the Centauri Union transmitted a message directly to Earth. He appeared on screen as a tall, thin being with skin like purple silk. People of Earth, he said, the Galactic Council regrets the unfortunate incident at Kepler 442b. We offer a peaceful solution. Humanity may keep 3-star systems of your choice. In exchange, you will accept Galactic Council oversight and cease unauthorized expansion. President Jamin called together his advisors to craft a response. The meeting lasted 5 minutes. The reply was broadcast on all frequencies, so every alien intelligence service would receive it clearly. Ambassador Kethanol, we reject your terms. We reject your authority. We reject your counsel. We are not your subjects, and we never will be. The alien ambassador seemed confused by the translation. Then what do you want from us? President Jamin looked directly into the camera. Nothing. We want nothing from you except to be left alone. We will expand where we choose. We will live as we choose. We will govern ourselves as we choose. If you cannot accept this, then we will fight until you can. But surely you understand the mathematics, Ambassador Kethanol said. We have thousands of ships, millions of soldiers, weapons that could destroy your entire world. And we have something you don't, President Jamin replied. We have people who would rather die fighting than live as slaves. Test us if you doubt this. The transmission ended. Ambassador Kethanol sat in his ship for a long time, trying to understand what he had just heard. In his culture, when faced with superior force, the logical response was negotiation and compromise. But the humans seemed to be saying they would fight regardless of the odds. He sent an urgent message to the Galactic Council. The humans refuse all reasonable terms. They appear to prefer mutual destruction over peaceful submission. Recommend extreme caution in future dealings. But it was too late for caution. Across human space, the war machine was awakening. Civilian ships were being converted to warships. Factories were switching from consumer goods to weapons production. Most importantly, the human population was uniting behind a single message. They would not bow to alien masters. Captain Hyunwoo, who had survived the destruction of his fighter at Kepler 442b, was recovering in a medical station when he heard about the diplomatic exchange. He had been pulled from space by a rescue ship, badly injured but alive. Sir, his doctor said, you've been through trauma. You should rest. No, Hyunwoo said, pulling himself out of bed. I need to get back to my unit. The war is just beginning. And he was right. The aliens had won the first battle, but they had also created something they did not understand. A human species united in fury, equipped with weapons they had kept hidden, and absolutely determined to fight for their freedom no matter the cost. The galaxy was about to learn what happens when you corner a species that simply refuses to be cornered. 6 months after the massacre at Kepler 442b, the largest alien armada in galactic history gathered at the edge of human space. Supreme Admiral Zethquan commanded over 2,000 ships from 8 different species. The Rigelian battle cruisers alone were larger than most human space stations. The hegemony dreadnoughts carried enough firepower to crack planets. This was not a military operation. It was meant to be the total destruction of human civilization. Today we end this madness, Zethquan announced to his fleet commanders. The humans have had time to build their defenses. They have had time to prepare. It will not matter. No species can stand against the combined might of the galaxy. But as his fleet approached Kepler 442b for the second battle, something impossible happened. Space itself seemed to tear open, and human ships began emerging from quantum slipspace jumps. Not the small exploration vessels the aliens expected, but massive warships bristling with weapons. Admiral Yunwoo stood on the bridge of the UES Indomitable, watching the alien fleet through her tactical displays. Her ship was one of the new destroyer-class vessels, built in the secret shipyards of Luna. Around her, 400 human warships took battle formations. All ships. "This is Admiral Yunwoo," she broadcast to her fleet. "Remember Kepler. Remember our dead. Today we show them what humans really are." The battle began with the aliens firing first as they had before. Massive energy beams and torpedo swarms crossed the space between the fleets. Several human ships took damage immediately, their shields flaring under the assault. But this time, the humans were ready. Captain Jisoo commanded the destroyer UES Docto's Revenge. When she saw an opening in the alien formation, she made a decision that should have been impossible. She aimed her ship directly at a collapsing quantum field that the aliens were using as a tactical barrier. "Captain," her navigator Changwoo said, "the computer shows 0 chance of survival if we fly through that field." "The computer doesn't understand humans," Jisoo replied. She pushed her engines to maximum power and dove into the quantum distortion. For 17 seconds, the UES Docto's Revenge existed in several dimensions at once. The ship's hull began breaking apart from spatial stress. But Jisoo held her course, and when she emerged on the other side, she was directly behind the alien command ship. "Fire everything," she ordered. The destroyer's weapons tore through the alien vessel's rear shields. The command ship, which had been coordinating an entire battle group, exploded in a cascade of secondary detonations. Supreme Admiral Zethquan watched this happen from his flagship and felt something he had never experienced before: fear. The human had piloted her ship through a phenomenon that his scientists said was absolutely lethal. She had done it knowing she would probably die just to destroy one enemy ship. "How is this possible?" he asked his tactical officer. "I don't know, sir. The human ship should have been destroyed by the quantum field, but somehow they survived long enough to attack." What Zethquan did not understand was that Captain Jisoo had been prepared to die. She had planned to die. When survival became secondary to completing the mission, humans could accomplish things that alien mathematics said were impossible. The battle continued with more examples of human impossibility. Colonel Changwoo led a boarding party onto an alien dreadnought. When the aliens surrounded his team and demanded surrender, Changwoo activated a nuclear bomb. "Surrender is not in our vocabulary," he transmitted as the countdown began. His team continued fighting with the bomb ticking toward detonation, buying time for other human forces to complete their objectives. The aliens could not understand this. In their cultures, when faced with certain death, the logical choice was to preserve life and negotiate. But humans seemed to view death as just another weapon to be used against their enemies. Lieutenant Seyoung found herself floating in space when her ship was destroyed. Her life support suit had 17 hours of air remaining. She should have waited for rescue. Instead, she used the debris from her ship as weapons, throwing metal fragments at alien fighter craft with precise calculations. When her suit's small thrusters ran out of fuel, she continued fighting by pushing off pieces of wreckage. For 17 hours, a single human in a damaged spacesuit continued to engage enemy fighters. The aliens stopped shooting at her after the first few hours, not because they pitied her, but because they were fascinated by her refusal to accept defeat. When human rescue ships finally found Lieutenant Seyoung, she was still fighting. Her suit's air was almost gone. Her body was badly injured from radiation exposure, but she was still throwing debris at any alien ship that came within range. "Lieutenant," the rescue team leader said, "you need medical attention." "I need reassignment to another combat unit," Seyoung replied. "This war isn't over." But the real turning point came when Commander Hanul made a discovery about alien psychology. She had been monitoring alien communications during the battle, using human computers to break their encryption codes. "Admiral," she reported to Yunwoo, "I'm reading massive confusion in their command structure. They're not just tactically surprised, they're existentially terrified. They keep asking each other why we won't stop fighting." Admiral Yunwoo understood immediately. They've never faced a species they couldn't intimidate. "It's more than that, sir. They literally cannot comprehend our behavior. To them, we're acting like a species that has gone completely insane. They think we've all developed some kind of mental illness that makes us prefer death to surrender." This gave Admiral Yunwoo an idea. She opened a communication channel to the alien fleet. Supreme Admiral Zethquan, this is Admiral Yunwu of the Terran Fleet. I want to make sure you understand something. We know we're outnumbered. We know we'll probably all die today. We're fighting anyway. There was a long pause before Zethquan replied. Why? Why throw away your lives for a single planet? There are millions of worlds in the galaxy. Take others. Leave this one. Because it's not about the planet, Admiral Yunwu said. It's about the principle. If we let you take this world by force, you'll think you can take all our worlds by force. So we'll fight you here, and we'll fight you everywhere else until you understand that humans cannot be conquered. But you cannot win, Zethquan said. Even if you destroy half our fleet, we will still have more ships than you. Then we'll destroy the other half too, Admiral Yunwu replied. And if more ships come, we'll fight those as well. We'll keep fighting until you give up or until every human in the galaxy is dead. Your choice. The alien admiral was quiet for a long time. Finally, he asked, Are all humans like this? Every single one, Admiral Yunwu lied. She knew that some humans were afraid, some wanted to negotiate, some would have preferred to run, but she also knew that when threatened, humans had a tendency to become exactly as determined as they needed to be. The battle raged for 8 more hours. The human fleet was reduced to 40 ships, but the aliens had lost over 600 vessels. More importantly, they had lost something else: their confidence that overwhelming force could solve every problem. Captain Hyunwoo found himself in command of a destroyer after his captain was killed. His ship was heavily damaged, with life support failing and weapons nearly depleted, but when he received orders to withdraw, he laughed. Control, this is Captain Hyunwoo aboard the UES Soul's Fury. Negative on the withdrawal order. We're preparing for one final attack run. Captain, your ship is critically damaged. You need to retreat. Sir, with respect, we came here to fight. We're going to keep fighting until there's nothing left to fight with. But then something unexpected happened. The alien fleet began to withdraw. Not retreat, withdrawal. A planned, organized pullback that left the humans in control of the battlefield. Supreme Admiral Zethquan had made a decision that his superiors would struggle to understand. He had the firepower to finish the human fleet, but the cost would be enormous. More importantly, he was beginning to realize that destroying this fleet would not end the war. It would only make the humans angrier. All ships begin withdrawal to Rally Point Alpha, he ordered. His tactical officer was confused. Sir, we can still win this battle. Can we? Zethquan asked. They started with 400 ships. We started with 2,000. They're down to 40 ships, we're down to 1,400. They're celebrating because they're still alive to fight tomorrow. We're celebrating because we didn't lose more ships. Who really won this battle? As the alien fleet departed, Captain Hyunwoo floated in the wreckage of his ship's bridge and watched them go. Half his crew was dead. His ship was held together with emergency patches, but he was smiling. Invincible, he whispered into his failing communication system. The old crystal alien was right. We really are invincible. Not because humans couldn't be killed, but because they refused to accept that being killed meant they had lost. 1 year after the second battle of Kepler 442b, the Galactic Council chambers looked very different. Half the seats were empty. 6 major species had withdrawn from galactic politics entirely, choosing isolation over the possibility of conflict with humans. The remaining delegates spoke in whispers, their voices filled with uncertainty and fear. Elder Kethmaran sat in the place of honor now, his crystal form brighter than it had been in centuries. The old warnings from his people's archives had proven true, and the other species finally listened to his words. Ambassador Bohyun entered the chamber wearing a simple blue uniform with the Earth symbol on her sleeve. She walked calmly to the center speaking area, her footsteps echoing in the mostly empty room. The remaining alien delegates watched her with a mixture of respect and terror. Honored delegates, Ambassador Bohyun began, I come here today to discuss the future of our galaxy. Counselor Yeth Dara of the Aquarian Republic was the first to speak. Her people looked like large fish with arms and legs, and their voices always sounded like water flowing over rocks. Ambassador Bohyun, the Galactic Council wishes to offer a new proposal. We will divide the galaxy into zones of influence. Humans may expand freely in designated areas. In return, you will not interfere with our established territories. Ambassador Bohyun shook her head slowly. Counselor, you still don't understand what this is about. We're not trying to conquer you. We're not seeking to rule over you. We simply refuse to be ruled by you. Dr. Seokjin, who stood beside the ambassador as Earth's chief xenosociologist, activated a holographic display. It showed brain scan patterns from different species. For the past year, we've been studying why our species think so differently, Dr. Seokjin explained. Your peoples evolved cooperation through hierarchy. The strong lead, the weak follow. This works well for maintaining order and preventing conflict. The display changed to show human brain patterns. Humans evolved cooperation through choice. We follow leaders we choose to follow, for reasons we choose to accept. We cannot be forced to cooperate. We can only be convinced. Elder Kethmoran's crystal body pulsed with soft light. This is what my people learned long ago. The humans are not aggressive by nature. They are defensive by nature. They will leave you alone if you leave them alone. But if you try to control them, they become something terrible. But surely reasonable beings can find compromise, said Ambassador Tethkol of the Centauri Union. His species looked like purple plants with many eyes, and they had always been skilled negotiators. There must be some arrangement that satisfies everyone. There is, Ambassador Bohyun said. Treat us as equals. Not subjects, not children, not problems to be managed, equals. The alien delegates looked at each other uncertainly. In their cultures, equality was a complex concept that involved careful measurements of power, technology, and social development. But humans seemed to mean something simpler and more absolute. Captain Sang-hyun had been exploring the galaxy's outer rim while the political negotiations continued. His ship, the UES Gwangju's Dream, had made an important discovery among the ruins of an ancient civilization. Ambassador, Captain Sang-hyun transmitted from deep space. I'm sending you data from the precursor ruins in Sector 94. You need to see this. The holographic display in the council chamber changed to show images of ancient structures on a dead world. The buildings were massive and beautiful, clearly built by an advanced species. But they were empty, abandoned for millions of years. We found records, Captain Sang-hyun continued. The species that built these cities called themselves the first wanderers. But other species called them something else. They called them the inevitable ones. Elder Kethmoran's crystal form became very bright. Show them the warning message. The display showed alien writing that the translation system struggled to convert. The final version appeared in many languages. We choose the void over chains. We choose silence over submission. We choose the unknown over the unacceptable. Those who come after remember, freedom is not negotiable. They transcended, Dr. Seokjin explained. When faced with a choice between accepting galactic law or continuing to exist as physical beings, they chose to leave physical existence entirely, rather than submit to outside authority. The alien delegate stared at the message in silence. Finally, Counselor Yethadara spoke. Are you saying that humans would do the same thing? Choose death over cooperation? We're saying that freedom isn't just important to humans, Ambassador Bohyun replied. It's essential to who we are. You can work with us, trade with us, even be friends with us, but you cannot rule us. Any attempt to control humanity will be met with total resistance. But what if your expansion threatens our worlds? Asked Admiral Grixtal of the Hegemony Defense Force. What if human colonies interfere with our territories? Then we'll negotiate, Ambassador Bohyun said. As equals. We'll find solutions that work for everyone, but we'll do it through discussion and agreement, not through threat and submission. Elder Kethmoran moved closer to the center of the chamber. The old galaxy is ending, he said. For millions of years, our civilizations have been based on the strong controlling the weak. The humans represent something new. They show us that cooperation can exist without domination. What are you suggesting? Counselor Yethadara asked. I'm suggesting that we learn from them, the elder replied. My people have survived longer than any other species because we learned to adapt. The humans are showing us how to adapt again. The formal end of the old Galactic Council came not through war or conquest, but through a simple vote. The remaining species chose to dissolve the centralized government and replace it with a voluntary association of independent civilizations. Admiral Jiyeon stood on the bridge of the colony ship, UES New Horizons, looking out at the vast empty space beyond the galactic rim. Her mission was to establish humanity's first deep space colony, not as expansion for its own sake, but as exploration of the unknown. Captain, her navigator Ariam said, long-range sensors show a suitable star system about 40 light-years ahead. No signs of existing civilization, Set course, Admiral Gion ordered. Let's go see what's out there. Back in the heart of the galaxy, the first interspecies research station was being built. Dr. Ariam from Earth worked alongside Dr. Vethkol from the Centauri Union, studying how different forms of life could coexist without conflict. It's interesting, Dr. Vethkol said as they analyzed soil samples from a dozen different worlds. My people always assumed that cooperation required hierarchy, but working with you has shown me that equals can cooperate just as effectively. Maybe more effectively, Dr. Ariam replied. When everyone has a choice, everyone is invested in making things work. President Chae-young, now representing the Terran Commonwealth, made the final diplomatic statement that would define the new galactic order. We ask nothing from you except recognition of a simple truth. Every species has the right to choose its own path. We will defend that right for ourselves and we will respect it for others. The galaxy had not been conquered by humans. It had been transformed by the example of a species that simply refused to accept that freedom could be taken away. Some civilizations chose to continue their old ways in isolation. Others embraced the new model of voluntary cooperation. But all of them now understood that there were species in the universe that could not be ruled, only befriended. Elder Kethmaran spent his final days teaching younger species about the lessons his people had learned. The humans are not invincible because they cannot be killed, he explained to his students. They are invincible because they have made conquest meaningless. You cannot defeat someone who refuses to accept defeat. You cannot rule someone who will choose death over submission. The old crystal being looked out at the stars and smiled. The galaxy was finally learning what his people had known for eons. True strength comes not from the power to dominate others, but from the determination to remain free. Humanity had not conquered the galaxy. They had simply shown it a better way to live.